Good morning, traders. This is the Memorial Day edition of the Weekend Trading Signals. And what we have here today is a very interesting mix. We, of course, all know of the boom that happened in all the AI related stocks led by NVIDIA post its results last week. Now, whether that will last or not, that's not what we are getting into it. We are following our system and we are seeing what comes up in the market state that we are in. S&P remains in bullish mode at this point of time. It has been what I call the bull quiet kind of a situation, market regime for the last few weeks, as you can see from all the green bars around here. They are all been in bull quiet mode for last few weeks. So essentially we are focusing on the bull signals, and Nasdaq, by the way, it's in what I call bull volatile, which might sometimes mean a short-term top, but we will see when that happens. So at this point of time, we have the backdrop of the debt ceiling issue supposedly being resolved. We'll see if any drama happens in Congress, but let's say it's resolved for now. And also we have the NVIDIA earnings and all the positive sentiments, etc. around it. And statistically, in terms of using the market regime signals that I consistently use, we are in bull quiet. So with that backdrop in mind, we follow the same process. We enter at the break of the previous week's high. We go short if it's a short signal below previous week's low. We start with the initial stop loss at the previous week's high, or the previous week's low if it's long or short. And sometimes I add a weekly average true range for extra cushion, just to kind of ensure that we don't get whipsawed. The position size, typically use not more than 1% of your account. Ensure you are spread across sectors, and take the trades accordingly so that you can hold them to give them the breadth and the space to run. The signals we have for again, this is essentially the example of the trading idea. We had this a few weeks back, AMD. It has actually moved up quite substantially since then. That's why I like to say that this signal sometimes should be best held for a few weeks to get the full results. And that's perfect for the Weekend Warrior, which are essentially most of us full-time job guys who have a full-time job, people who have a full-time job and are willing to look at these trades and the markets in the weekend, place the trades and let them do their thing, have a stop loss, which gives us fairly good breathing space for the stocks, and try to capture a good part of the move. So here you would enter at the buy above the 92.30, break of that to the upside. You can have a target at 106.05. We actually have exceeded that now on AMD. So you could take off of the position. You could kind of take the whole trade off if you like. I would typically take like half off here and try to trail it and see how far it goes. You never know how overbought a stock can technically become. So that's the example. And ideas for this week, it's very interesting for me because if you see here, first of all, there is no bearish ideas. We didn't get any bearish idea in our scan. We have these three clothing brands: Ralph Lauren, Abercrombie, and Urban Outfitters. These are all consumer discretionary, and they showing up at the same time as the ELF, the beauty, which are all consumer wallet linked stocks, so as to say. And then the Toll Brothers, which is the house builder, the luxury house builder in US, and that's showing up when the interest rates have fairly gone up, and there is a lot of talk on housing here. So this I see as a sign where Toll Brothers is being bought, which is very interesting. It's showing up as a positive signal, and this consumer discretionary stocks linked directly to your wallet showing up here in the bullish signal is a very interesting tell for me. So despite all this narrative of, consumer spending, recession, so on and so forth, why would these stocks be showing up here? If that's where the big money thinks that's where we are, why would you be buying Ralph Lauren before a recession? Or an Urban Outfitters, or for that matter, Toll Brothers, if the housing is going to go for a bust? At the same time, the other side is the technology side. If you see, these are all cheap and technology stocks, which are of course going to benefit from AI and everything else and the growth, but they are sort of like the plumbing. of the technology sector, and that's a good play if you don't want to get whipsawed by Nvidia or get caught in the frenzy. These are can be sometimes lower risk play to catch the same move and benefit from the sentiment. Another interesting tell for me this week is the if you see here, the XPO and the Night Swift Transportation. These are fairly big transport companies. Why would this be showing up on a bullish scan if the economy is going to go down the drums? So we trade the system, we trade what we see in front of us. This is what the market is showing us today. This is what the market is showing is its hand. And that's what I'm going to trade. And as long as the market regime does not change, all these stocks is showing relative strength. All these stocks are showing a good buy setup, a low risk buy setup. And I'm going to trade them using an equal weight portfolio. And I hope that this come as useful to you too. Before the market opens, you could set these orders and go about on your daily job, have the stop loss below the previous week's high, and see what the market gives you. That's a less stressful way of trading for me. And while you can go about your daily job and hope that the market moves on, and if the market did, you followed your system and you had your discipline, everything else, and the market will reward a consistent process over a period of time. So on that note, enjoy the long weekend and happy trading. See you next week.